It's time now to review headlines of today's newspapers with our ombudsman of This Day and Arise Media Group and This Day Newspaper Limited's Group Executive Director, Kayode Komolafe. I would like to call him Mr. KK.
Good morning, Shay.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Adisha, and congrats on that very insightful story on
It was beautiful to see,
fantastic report.
Thank you, sir. Fantastic
Good morning,
report.
Steve.
Good morning, KK.
And good morning, Oji.
Good morning, Mr. KK. Welcome to our Sunday Tonic program.
Pleased to be here.
All right, so we'll kick things off, as always, with This Day on Sunday, and I think we should start with the big story, the lead, which of course is on the cover of practically all the newspapers today. This Day captures it this way. In the spirit of Lent, Ramadan, ECOWAS lifts economic sanctions on Niger, Mali, Guinea. And the rider says political and targeted sanctions remain in force. Tinubu urges Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali to rejoin sub-regional body. ECOWAS insists on release of ex-President Bazoum of Niger from detention, canvasses transition program for restoration of constitutional order in Nigeria. Many other papers, as you must have seen, KK, reported in a way that says that Tinubu buckles, ECOWAS buckle, you know. And of course, This Day also has that as the elaborate cover picture. In brotherhood we stand, it says, and you can see our president there, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with the other president from the sub-region, Senegal, Ghana, everywhere, you know, after taking the decision on those who are planning to form a confederation, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. On top of that story is the story on the sad death of Herbert Wigwe of Access Bank. Wigwe, it says, NTSB issues preliminary report, attributes chopper crash to adverse weather exacerbated by rain, snow. And on top of that, INEC will receive 313.4 billion naira from federal government for 2023 general election. I think that's a continuation from the INEC story of yesterday. And on top of the masthead, federal government dismisses rejection reports, insists Tinubu will visit Qatar. I'm sure that you must have noticed, you know, social media, all the things that are flying about. Qatar rejects, Qatar didn't reject. But here we have the federal government dismissing that report saying that Tinubu will still officially visit Qatar. That story is on page 6 of today's This Day. And last but not the least is the story on the window. Fagbemi asks NLC to shelve proposed nationwide protest, says planned action will be contempt of court. Let's see who wins, the law or the masses, as NLC will claim that that's what they are representing. KK, those are the stories from today's This Day on Sunday.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Like you rightly said, it's obvious that the story of the day is the ECOWAS new position on those West African countries that have been suspended from the regional union. And like you said, you find it virtually on the front pages of other newspapers. Now, it is a welcome development, and that is the way to go, you know, as they say. I think what this has proved, a number of lessons could be drawn from this. What this has proved is that, organizations, regional or even powers, should not be unduly arrogant in the way, they respond to developments in another country. And I think that perhaps ECOWAS is learn these lessons and not to not to follow in the footsteps of the imperial powers. Remember, the U.S. and its NATO allies for 2 years now have imposed their economic sanctions of various forms on Russia, following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And from every now and then you hear arrogant voices from Western capitals that are going to bring Russia to its knees. They are going to emasculate Putin. But 2 years running, it has proved futile. So it is good that ECOWAS is applying the brake that at the end of the day, we just have to come back to diplomacy, that if you want to be muscular, it should be muscular diplomacy that should be informed and not force. For the obvious reasons of the fact that these countries, are of strategic importance, to other countries in West Africa, especially Nigeria. We talk of the implications of our relationship with Niger, for instance, on security and other things. And the point to say that, since May 2021, when Burkina Faso witnessed a military takeover, and followed by Mali in September in 2022, and most recently in Niger in July last year. Now, the other lesson, like I said, that should be learned is that, there is no country that can impose, democracy on another country. No power. You don't impose democracy. Every country has to, follow its own path of democratic evolution. And what you can do is to assist others by way of persuasion, diplomatic route, and not employ the use of force. And while this step, while it is still in an unfolding development, but this step is quite significant. At least with this now, the no-fly zone, imposed on Niger, for instance, will be lifted. The borders, will be.
Are you sure about that, KK? I mean, I was going to ask you.
Yes.
Doesn't this sound like a win for the Confederates? For Niger, for Mali, for Chad, given the fact that upon all the grandstanding that we witnessed from ECOWAS and especially from our president, now it looks like it is ECOWAS that is now pleading, for reconsideration. Now you are saying that maybe the sanction, the no-fly zone, might be lifted. Who says? What if they are adamant and they said no, we're not ready to buckle?
No, we should get this right, Steve.
Yes.
ECOWAS actually imposed the no-fly zone first, on the So at least on the part of ECOWAS is now lifting its own. Yes, yeah. I agree with you that we still have to wait what will be the response of those who have formed the alliance of Sahel, namely Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger.
Yeah.
But then we shouldn't see it. Rather, we should be cautious, not to see it, as whether from the perspective of a winner and loser, because, like I said, it's still an ongoing process. But I think, that those three countries also should, respond, positively, to ECOWAS moves, because the political sanctions, like the president of ECOWAS Commission, said, will still remain. But what is the one that is more biting, is the economic sanction, especially the closure of border, the imposition of no-fly zones, and no-fly zone and other measures that have been taken by ECOWAS. Then the ECOWAS country also should also put this thing in a wider context, and that is that those countries, the issues, from the tone of the leaders, the military leaders, that in a way they are also resisting, they are also objecting their neo-colonial relationship with France, So in a way, you can see that the mood in those countries is against French imperialism, and therefore ECOWAS should be very cautious not to be seen, as an instrument, of perpetrating, imposition of French colonial rule in those countries, and that is why you need to win them and then make them to be viable. Hoping that they will become viable members of the community, and then all the benefits that will derive from the relationship, as as West African countries, will be derived. Finally, the thing to be said here is also to commend the leadership role of Nigeria in the matter. Because if you go through, the speech of President Tinubu, to the meeting, and then you compare that with the communique, that came out of the meeting, you can see that, that the initiative, largely is contained, there. And finally, that the point should be made that, the way ECOWAS has now responded, it shows that we have to deal with our own situation in the peculiar African way. It's interesting that they say that this action has been taken in the spirit of Lent and Ramadan. But it's clear that if you have to be, when NATO impose sanctions, they don't care whether there is Lent or whether there is Ramadan. For the last 2 years, the NATO countries have been sustained their sanction on Russia, and they don't care whether you are in Lent or not. So that shows that there is something that is peculiar with us, that is cultural and that is African, and then we should sustain that and let that inform our diplomacy.
Very well said, Mr. Komolafe. All right, shall we move over now to this day's style? This day's style, if we can pull that up, we have here on the cover, models on a runway. And the caption goes, "Fashion in times of crisis, a necessary luxury or a dispensable expense." I mean, a brilliant piece by the executive editor of This Day's Style, Konya. And she wrote, "As Nigeria grapples with one of its most severe recessions in recent history, the ripples are felt across all sectors, including the dynamic world of fashion." I wonder what Nigerian designers are going through at this point. Shaitan, you're smiling because I know that you do have a fashion label. Yes. A baby Shaitan.
Yes.
Is it? a baby Shaitan.
Yeah. I mean, Konya is very right. I know that Mr. Keke is going to jump in very quickly, but trust me,
yes,
it's been ridiculous.
Is it?
Things are double, triple the price. But the thing is, we still have to look good, right? So something has got to give.
So it's not dispensable. You think at this point?
Cannot also that's
we must spoil your market for you. But I think it's a brilliant piece, and I think everyone who loves fashion should, take a copy of, go get a copy of This Day's Style. Adesua, what do you have on The Nation?
So The Nation this Sunday, the largest story there, NLC's planned protest, contempt of court. That is from Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. Under that, we see Oyebanji absolve Tinubu of blame for economic challenges. Mr. Fagbemi had said this, the NLC's counsel, Mr. Femi Falana, SAN. The picture there, the main picture is, of course, about this. This is the ECOWAS pictures of the heads of state with our president in the middle and the presidents of Ivory Coast, Ghana, and the lot. Underneath that, we have Edo 2024. Shaibu alleges fresh plot to impeach him. Under that, you see my candidacy will deliver Edo to APC. Okpebolo pledges. Idahosa approaches appeal committee protest injustice. We've, of course, spoken about this today and the day prior. The story next to that, Wigwe, preliminary report says adverse weather may have caused crash. Fuselage fragmented, cockpit, cabin destroyed. On top of the masthead, we do have stories on why ECOWAS lifted economic sanctions on Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. Regional body says political targeted sanctions still in force. And the next story to that is a picture of our CBN Governor Cardoso. And the title says, CBN eyes new crypto rules to shield Nigeria's finances. BDCs may resume FX transactions at official window tomorrow.
All right, then quickly on the Sunday Vanguard, the major headline there. The State of the Nation, Tinubu must restructure now or Nigeria goes under. This is according to Okpadokun, who is the NADECO leader. According to him, there are 15,000 notorious kidnappers in 40 camps. Describes it as inside the forest, harboring bandits, terrorists, hoodlums. It's Zamfara horror figures, 15,000 killed, 20,000 injured, 18,000 villages destroyed. Just over the masthead there, amnesty coming for Lagos landlords without building approval. This is according to the Physical Planning Commissioner on demolitions. Also, still on the Sunday Vanguard, new details, that's on page 5, new details on Wigwe as the NTSB says that the chopper suffered catastrophic damage. That is on page 5. And just on the bottom, or just below the major headline there, talking about the Edo primaries fallout, which we've spoken about today. Ido Hausa kicks as Opebolo gets certificate of return. Over to you, Mr. KK.
Just a quick one. Let's add this KK at the Sunday Sun to it because of an important story that concerns our profession. But before then, I think the lead is also important. Hardship as food crisis worsens. Yes. Families lament, adopt austerity measures. KK, I don't know if you have seen the cover of Sunday Sun. I think it's a bit cheeky, the photograph that illustrates that cover picture, the photograph chosen by the newspaper, that the cover, the picture of the president. I think it's a bit cheeky. But of course, the other story that I was talking about is the clampdown, seizure of newspapers. Anambra vendors begin indefinite strike. Group threatens to begin impeachment process on Governor Soludo. What is Governor Soludo up to in Anambra against vendors of newspapers? Over to you, KK.
Yeah, I think that is very strange, and I think that quite unlike the Soludo, we know. I think while waiting for the details, of the story, it will be that Soludo is a democratically elected governor of Anambra State. His mission, of developing Anambra State is also to widen, the democratic space. The frontier of freedom, that it's definitely not acceptable, to climb down on media organization, especially, waging a war against vendors of newspapers. The other very important story for today is the threat. Or rather, the notice, of protest, that's been given by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the response of the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Fagbemi. The thing to say here is that government should, derive some wisdom, from hindsight, and it does have a retrospective view of things. Since 1999, when this dispensation, began. Occasions, when you have, convulsion, protest, the rest, it's been proved, a number of times that, the futility of government, invoking legality, in tackling purely, human relations, issue, people want to protest because they are hungry. And you are dangling a court order. There is no court that can order hunger to subside. So you can. So what is necessary is to engage. What is important is to engage the Nigerian Labour Congress and other forces, that are protesting by government. Actually putting on the table what is trying to do, and also. Also engender confidence that promises made will be fulfilled and not dangling. Because after all, come to think of it, since 1999, a number of occasions, the same court has ruled in favor of labor and government. After government, different administrations have disobeyed the court orders, or just simply ignore them. So what is important is to engage labor so as to avert the protest, because the implications could be very
fantastic,
terrible for the country.
All right, thank you so much, KK. I'm afraid that's where we will put an end to it for today, because we've gotten another story to take. Thank you indeed. Thank you so very much for this Sunday Tonic.